Deathwatch.
Hi, I'm Chris with Deathwatch Productions, and this is the 11th episode of A Prophecy of Dusk and Dawn. I'm here with the usual suspects, and we'll have them introduce themselves.
Hello, I'm Brandon. I'll be playing Landon Velox, a young nobleman convalescing with a hedge witch and now about to rejoin my people after having been ambushed by cowards.
And I'm Travis. I'm playing Hadrius Ordius, and currently I'm in a sheltering from a storm in a mysterious shack with an old woman nearby. I'm sure everything will turn out all right.
Hey, I made a note.
We didn't kill her.
They did not attack the old woman.
And I am John playing Jardane, a.k.a. Dane Glass, who is about to be attacked by an old woman.
Just take over ownership of the old woman and play her from now on.
As I must learn all the rune secrets, so as I have to enslave her.
Alrighty. So, right off the bat, can I get a luck roll from Jardane and Hadrius?
See, I told you.
Don't do it.
Whoa.
Oh, dang.
Hadrius doesn't attack her, but I did.
I was saving up my good luck rolls for this one.
So you wake up with an old woman gnawing on your toes.
This is really lucky.
See, this whole time I thought spiders were lucky, when really we just needed an old lady to gnaw on our toes.
Let's bring her some sickly rabbits.
What was the mystery meat in the stew, though? All right, so we'll go over to Jardane, who failed his luck roll. So, Jardane, you find yourself standing in the dining room of a large stone house, the very same one that you had fled from no more than a couple days ago. Now, however, it is dimly lit with an eerie yellow-green light that you have no idea where the source of it is. All about you hang large burlap sacks soaked through with blood and some strange ichor. Occasionally, one of the sacks will jostle about as whatever's inside it kicks and moves. You become aware, apart from this change of scenery, that there are other things that lurk in the shadows of this room, and they move about you as you kind of get your bearings.
Because it's just a single room? Are there any entries or exits?
There are several. There are two to your left. You'd be facing south. There are two to your left, and then one to your right, and a staircase that would lead up behind you.
And these sacks, you said that there was something leaking from it?
Mm-hmm.
Or they're covered with something?
Yeah, it's leaking out of
I'll
it.
investigate the substance.
All right, yeah. I'd usually call for a medicine roll, but I'd say we can go with an alchemy. See if you can... Special. Well, you quickly identify blood. That was the obvious one. But for that ichor, you can't quite place what it is. It appears... You think that it might be like something kind of tickles your memory, and it would be like the various humors that make up the body, the inside of the body, right? Our internal system. And one of those is blood, bile, so on and so forth. And you think that this might be one of them, but it usually isn't something that would be in such a vast amount. But you're not sure.
How many hanging bags are there that I can discern?
There are about 40. They're kind of just filling the room. You can't quite see through the sea of them.
All right. I will carefully try to pick my way through, as not to disturb any of them.
Okay.
And make my way towards... We'll try to, and if I can tell where either a front or back entry is, try to make my way towards a door.
All right. So as you're going, give me a agility check. We'll see if you're able to go through without disturbing anything. Awesome.
Success.
So yeah, you're navigating these the kind of narrow, almost hallway-like spaces that these sacks form. Occasionally, one will jostle and kick. Sometimes you hear a moan from another one. And some of these voices, the vocal sounds that you're hearing, the various moaning or grunting, first off, it seems to be in pain. But some of them sound familiar. And can you give me a spot?
Success.
All right, so you're in about the middle of the room, and you see a shade-like figure kind of moving, like tailing you, like trailing you. You just catch a glimpse of him off to your right. The reason you were able to see it was because its eyes kind of glow faintly like a cat in a dim room.
I'm sorry, what did I make that out to be?
It's a human-shaped shadow, a shade. And can you give me a listen?
My ears are plugged.
You hear a door open, and you hear a voice start shouting something, and you can't quite judge how far away it is, right? It seems like it's far away, but it's getting like closer very fast. And when it gets where it sounds like it's actually like near you, you recognize it to be the voice of Alexander, the boy who crowned himself king.
Well, I will try to quickly make my way towards that entrance.
All right.
Keep an eye on this figure that's watching me.
All right. So that figure keeps kind of stalking you, but at the sound of Alexander's voice, it kind of pauses and it looks at you. It knows that you've seen it, and it just kind of slinks back into the shadows, and you lose sight of that. As for you making headway towards the front door, or what you believe to be the front door of this place, like many dreams, and you have the definite feeling that you are in a dream, but it's weird. There's something off about it. You never seem to get closer to the door, right? It's just more a sea of these hanging burlap sacks filled with people as far as you can tell. But no matter how fast you run, you never seem to gain any actual ground until you see Alexander step out from behind one of the hanging sacks a little ways off in front of you. He hasn't spotted you yet.
Well, and at this point, there's only one thing to do. I will prostrate myself in front of him, and I think that's the right word. Say, Your Grace, how can I be of assistance?
Oddly, I wasn't expecting that one. Good job, John. So the Alexander that is standing before you, now towering over you as you kneel before him, he's in his full royal regalia, right? And atop his head sits a flaming crown. It gives off no light. And his right hand is a pyrite sword, and his left is a set of mercurial scales. These are all kind of odd things, and if you want, you can roll a religion or alchemy for me.
I went for the religion check, but I missed it.
All right. Are you going to push it, or are you going to... that would be power points if you want to...
try it. I don't know that I have enough power points.
It's 1 to 2. 1 power point gives you a 2 change, up or down.
Yeah, I guess I could do that. Which side? No, I guess I could do that. Which side do I change, the left or the right side?
Oh, the left.
Okay.
All right, so you spent these power points for religion, right? So
yes,
you know that many of these hold various alchemical, but as well as religious symbology. The flaming crown is akin to the halo that is usually drawn around Solar's head, a flaming disc, but always in the depictions of Solar or his magi or any of his fighting men that were blessed by him. These halos usually are, they bring light, they bring warmth, they bring peace, and many of the people around them seek this out. And the fact that Alexander's halo, for lack of a better term, gives off no light makes you feel that this could ring hollow, right? It's a false halo. It's a false blessing. It could be how he sees himself. The gold sword that he carries, you recognize to be iron pyrite, which is pretender's glory is what it's called in this world. It's fool's gold in ours, right? It's not really gold. And gold is linked to Solar as his metal, right? It's wisdom, it's glory, it's honor, right? And the scales that are mercurial, those are... They will never bring about a fair judging or ruling, right? They'll switch their outcomes based on the whims of the holder, right? So you can draw your own conclusions to a lot of that symbology, but what I will say is it seems like this Alexander before you is kind of a pretender to glory and righteousness and just and justice, right? But he sees you prostrating yourself before him. And was it you asked what you could do for him, or how could you make it right?
How can I be of service?
Well, you were wise not to run from me, scum. And the only way to make this right is for you to give yourself back to me, so that I might have you flayed, as is befitting a traitor and a thief, such as yourself. But before that happens, you must tell me who set you up with this.
As do I. I don't even know the name of the person who had sent me those letters, correct? Because I didn't have any signature or anything. It was just if I wanted to take a chance that I could possibly get away.
Yeah, you can look for that. So he's kind of full of himself, and he's kind of got the sword lazily pointed your direction.
Who is his closest advisor?
You don't know. There was a massive change-up right around the time. There was lots of executions, so lots of people suddenly moved up in their position in the world.
What was the name of, like, the head of his guard?
Let's make a name here. Sorry. Give me a second. Go to the good old random name generator. That's not a name I can pronounce. I apologize. You must wait longer now. Eden was...
Okay, I'll say that it was Eden, Your Grace, and the head of the Alchemist Guild, or the Alchemists, along with trying to remember the name, Duchess Sarcerdo. Yeah, Sarcerdos.
Sarcerdo.
Sarcerdo. Yeah, they are the ones who conspired against you.
He's looking like he's buying this at first, but then he laughs when you inform him that Sarcerdos was among the conspirators, and he says that that old bat would never betray me. She loves me like a son.
She only lusted for power.
He kind of looks to thinking, if you want, you can try to get out of there, or try to wake up.
What would I do to try to wake up?
Pow roll would probably be the easiest one for you, or you could try a sense.
What would either of those, like, how do you roll those?
A pow roll would be the luck roll.
Oh, okay.
It's just that pow also kind of counts as willpower, right?
What is sense?
Sense is a skill. I believe it's in the mental section.
Yes.
And it governs senses beyond the spot and listen. So
try the power.
All right.
Nope. I'm stuck.
All right. So he's looks like he's contemplating this, and then he turns back to you and he's like, You're as scummy as ever, you little rat, thinking you can lie to me. Your lord, your king. And he's walking towards you now with that sword pointed at you, and he raises it up over his head, and he's going to try to strike out at you with it. Let's see. If you want, you can give me another alchemy roll.
Success.
All right. You don't know why, but it kind of jumps into your head. Maybe it's because of how he's currently dressed, but there are, or were, many alchemical runes that were used for transferring an element or energy to another vessel, usually, like making fire dwell inside, say, finely ground, powdered, charred wood, and then if certain conditions were met, that wood would then ignite easily, right? And fast. These days, you do it through a more chemical process of refinement. But in the old days, and I think I've mentioned this before, it was all done mostly through magic. And runes were how the alchemists did it. And in your head, it pops, or this thought pops into being, and that is kind of a desperate act of just scrawling the symbol for protection and hoping for the best. Or you can try to flee again.
I'll grasp onto that. Let's hold it firmly in my mind.
Okay.
Envision it in front of myself, and then with a shaky but sure hand, draw it in front of me.
All right. Give me another alchemy. We'll see if you can do it.
Barely, but success.
All right. And for a lot of that, what would come along with it is a element. So the elements are Lux, Umbra, Ventus, Ignis, Aqua, Terra. Which one would you call upon?
Ignis.
Of course. On your character sheet, under the mental section, I usually put them down at the bottom. There's a ability to start making skills. Add one to it. Name it Ignis. Can I watch what he's doing without messing with his character sheet, Joes?
No, if you take control, like if you scroll, I think it'll scroll for him.
Okay. So tell me when that's done, Jono.
All right, I got it. It's just IGNIS.
Yeah. And then parentheses, 25 inside those parentheses, and then over in the skill bracket, 25. And that's just showing that the base is 25, the number inside the parentheses. All right. You can roll that for me now. All right.
All right.
And now expend how many roll 1d4 and expend that many power points. Nice.
1.
All right. So you form this symbol. You make it kind of makeshift. I'm guessing doing some hand jive or something, or normally it would be done with paints, inks, chalks, various other stuff, or carved into something, right? But in desperate times call for desperate measures. So you picture that symbol in your mind, the symbol for protection, and you picture some sort of fire flickering off in the distance, and you feel something kind of loosen, like behind your eyes, like somewhere in your head, right? You feel something loosen, threaten to give way, but it isn't quite enough, whatever this push you do was. But an effect still occurs. So suddenly, the symbol that you have drawn out in your mind does appear in flame briefly and kind of pops and creates a small explosion. And it's enough for you to suddenly feel the world begin to rock beneath your feet, and you fall through the floor, and you feel yourself falling back towards yourself. So it was enough to wake you up.
Okay. Yeah, I'll wake with a start. Imagine, like most nightmares, is sweaty regardless of what the temperature is in the room, and I'll quickly crawl over to, or turn over to Hadrius and wake him, saying, "Hadrius, wake up, we must go now. He's seen me."
All right. But before that can happen, we'll now head over to Hadrius. So you were going to go on first watch, right?
Yeah, I was going to let Ollie get some sleep.
All right. So you had all the good intentions of being on that first watch, but there's kind of a calming, comforting air about this place, and it's only oh man, and that feeling of like calmness and protection is only increased and not diminished at all somehow, that relaxation that's overtaking you now, by the soft snores of the old woman, now just a shrouded mound beneath the blankets of her bed, and the occasional like almost life-threatening sounding gasp that will come from Ollie as a half-healed or improperly healed broken nose sometimes leaves the poor man fighting for his very life and while he's asleep. But you're determined to remain awake, and you're pretty sure that's what happens. You are sitting there near the window, and you blink, and then you hear Hadrius.
Well, I'll start up and look around.
All right, you're alone in the room.
Like there's no shapes there anymore.
Not a single person there with you. The fire's cold. Or there is no fire. The fireplace is cold.
The storm's still raging.
Nope.
Well, I'll get up and sort of look out the window, or I think we closed those, so maybe I'll open the front door and see where everybody's gone.
It's a calm, clear night. Seems to be moonlight filtering down, but there's no moon in the sky, but it is cloudless.
Horses out there?
Mm-mm. You hear your name whispered again.
Can I pinpoint from whence it came?
Yeah, it's coming from the direction of the nearby copse of trees that were out behind the hut.
I already stayed in a strange house on a stormy night with a strange old lady. I might as well investigate an odd noise.
Dude, come on.
In the copse of trees.
There's like odds to a lot of this stuff. It's only a matter of time before this comes back to bite you.
Do I get a sense that I'm dreaming, or am I taking it as reality?
This seems real to you.
Okay. Well, I'll be
Like, if you want, you can roll an actual sense.
sure. Don't have
Or
much
a
sense.
POW. Okay. Yeah,
Well,
you're feeling this is real, but there's a part of you, and that's what the sense roll is taking care of here, that this can't be real. So there's a disbelieving portion of your mind.
Well, I'll be like, who's there?
Again, Hadrius.
Well, I'll walk towards that stand of trees, prepared to dodge away if need be. Sort of like light on my feet, ready to bolt.
All right. So it's a thin, almost a single row of trees. It's a very small copse, and it has a clearing on the other side. So you can give me a spot.
Special.
As you're getting closer to it, you see you see the form of a woman sitting in the middle of that clearing on the other side of the tree line.
Just a female shape?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'll raise my voice to a normal speaking voice and, hello there.
Yeah, you see her raise a hand, a slim hand.
You can come closer, it's okay.
You catch her shake her head, or at least you think that's what you're saying, and she gestures to you.
Okay, bye. Well, yeah, I'll go see what she wants. I'll go walk forward. Still cautious, obviously. I'm figuring I just have I'll take it as reality, but I have a lingering suspicion. Not that it's not reality, but that things are not well.
All right. So you enter that clearing, and there's a nude, unearthly, beautiful woman sitting on the grass in the middle of the clearing. She's smiling and waving at you, kind of gesturing you over. The only thing saving her modesty currently is her long, wavy hair and moon shadows that seem to cast about her.
So I can make out she's young, too?
20-ish.
20-ish.
Yeah, probably about of an age of you.
Young woman, I would not sit around like that in these lands. There are a bunch of rough men about. Come in, we can throw a sheet on you or something.
She shakes her head and gestures at the ground in front of her. Kind of a sit.
Well, I'll kind of look at my clothes and realize I'm probably not wearing anything that I can take off and make her modest, but I'll shrug and sit, try to be polite with my eyes.
All right. As you're walking over, she picks something up off of the ground, and you kind of hear it rattle when she gives her hands a shake.
Oh, no divination, please. Go ahead, cast them.
Hadrius just sitting there with a checklist. Oh man! At the end, it just ends with dead. So yeah, she kind of pauses for a second and looks at you and really? Stop? No?
Well, we're both here. You may as well.
All right. She smiles when you give her the go ahead, and she shakes these, and then she casts them onto the ground in front of you. You can give me a alchemy if you want to risk it, or an appraise.
Okay. Success with an appraise.
All right. So there are 4 runes or stones that have runes carved upon them, and your sharp king, mercantile eye, humble and gracious as it is, immediately notes gold, silver, and onyx. And lead, finally, at the very least, or at least you think it's lead. Now, those who are not a humble merchant would probably overlook lead, but thanks to the dragoons over the years, lead has steadily grown in price because it makes cheap ammunition, and if one was to buy in bulk, one could make a tidy profit off of it, maybe even more so than gold. But that aside, the gold rune is perfectly shaped with sharp angles and is multi-sided. You can see on its many faces a symbol, which you can roll a religion for.
Okay.
But the symbol's of a blazing sun, so it should be an easy roll for you in this case.
Oh, yep. Got it.
Yeah, it's solar, and I'll keep that for your other ones.
I know that one.
And above it is a dot in lacquer depicting, well, you don't know what it depicts, but it's a bright orangish red. Given that it's solar, you can suspect that it's fire of some sort, is what that's there for. The next one is silver. It has rounded and delicate edges. It's also multi-sided, and it bears the markings of Luna, which are kind of been seeing a lot of lately. Her standard symbol is a black dot in the center, and the phases of the moon going out to where the full moon is on either side.
Gotcha.
And it's the faces of Luna.
Right.
Above each of these marks is a black lacquered dot, which you can suspect is the element associated with Luna. The lead one is imperfect, dented, chipped, and each of its facings bear the very, very old and nearly forgotten marking, because she's barely worshipped anymore for some reason, of Terra, the goddess on whom all life resides on the face of. And it's accented with a green lacquer dot. And then the final one is made of onyx. And you have recently seen this marking in the texts that were, or not the text, but the religious rite that was being performed on the men of Garbon, his brigands.
They were on those weapons that they were throwing, right? That's
Yeah.
what I saw.
So you recognize the symbol of the maw carved into this onyx.
So the way she threw these stones, I guess it would be more about the way they land. They don't have like sides or anything, or am I just, or do you get the sense they would have like a different thing on the other side of the stone or whatnot?
You're not sure on that. The religious role you did doesn't cover like hedge witch,
right?
Divination, stuff like that. A lot of the religion has actually moved away from that. The only miracle that was needed was Solar himself, and he still exists. He's
Sounds like they're tech upgrading into monotheism.
It does.
Good on ya.
And the church is attempting to kind of do that, right? Like I think I've hinted at it before. Like Luna and Terra cults are perfectly legal, Natale Solis, but the church has kind of pushed more and more towards worship of Solar
supremacy.
Yeah.
Soon the Lunites won't be able to trade in the cities or whatnot.
Yeah. And there's been some like revisionism here or there in more recent years where Solar kind of is the father of humanity, but it is Terra. Like Terra birthed all mortal life on the face that it dwells upon, right? Which is her. So, but theology
I'll look
aside,
on with the same sort of curiosity. I imagine I had my fortune read
all right.
on drunken nights in the past when things were low.
So when you look at her, you kind of see her frown at the maw, like she wasn't expecting it to be there. But then she looks at you with all the curiosity that she can seem to muster on her face, and she kind of gestures, pick, choose, is kind of what you pick up from it.
The one that seems to have the most significance to Hadrius in this moment is the Luna symbol, which was, what stone was that?
A silver.
Silver. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, because I'm just thinking of the gossip moon I've seen so often in the last few weeks. So yes, that's the one. I'll point to it to begin with.
Yeah, she nods and gestures. It's yours, is what the gesture seems to say. But she's
gone for the gold.
Yeah, she gives you a beaming smile when you pick Luna, though, and she kind of gives a soft clap.
That doesn't mean I'm going to church. Just that was out of character, sorry. But I'll suddenly feel unsure of my choice, but I'll put it in my cloak or coat nonetheless.
And then she kind of seems to sit there for a second, like she's thinking. She's looking down at the other three, and if you can roll a 1d3 for me. She reaches out, and you see her pick up the Ma rune, and then she like pauses, and it's almost like there's a struggle going on, like she didn't expect to pick that one, and she kind of looks confused, like why did she pick that one? But then she sighs. The decision was made, kind of, is what you're getting from it. And she reaches out and she goes to hand it to you in your other hand, is what you would prefer.
Do I have to take it? I don't really I have a good history with that one. It's recent,
well,
for sure. But
she doesn't seem like she's going to force you, but she does kind of have a plea or a pleading look.
And this is the Onyx one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, naked lady handing you stuff. What can you do?
Yeah. So she opens her hand and you feel it fall into your palm, and it's surprisingly heavier than it should be.
Okay.
And it does feel warm, whereas the Luna one feels cold. And she lets out another sigh, and she seems fairly sad at the fact that that happened. But she then she reaches out her hands, and she closes her hand over the one that's holding the Luna rune, and she pushes that towards you, right? And her hands it's like being touched by silk, cool, cool, silky kind of just hands, very thin. And she pushes that towards you, and that's saying that this is yours. And then she motions to the other one, and is kind of a gesture that says, give this to someone else. She doesn't specify who. You don't know if it's important, if it needs to be given to someone specific. Just, this is for someone else. This isn't for you.
Why would I give it to somebody else? And under what circumstance should I make that decision? Do you know?
She shakes her head, and she seems sad that you will give that to someone at some point.
Give it to a hired hand in the future.
Nah. So then she stands up, and she gestures for you to stand up with her.
To my feet.
Okay.
Clasp my hands behind my back.
And she kind of looks up off to the east where Solar, you suspect, will soon be rising. And she puts 2 of her fingers to her lips and gives them a kiss, and then touches them to the center of your forehead. And it's like you're being doused in cold water. And you feel something inside behind your head let loose and snaps. Okay. The world lurches beneath your feet, much as it had with Jardane not too long ago. And you feel yourself beginning to fall back towards the tiny hut where you know your sleeping body is. If you do wish, you can roll sense, because you feel it's with the loosening of whatever fetter the ethereal woman had loosened, you feel that if you were to open yourself up to the world around you, the spiritual side of things, that you could catch a glimpse, things that the woman had kept hidden about her, about the world. But for some reason, this is a wild and dangerous thought, whereas some things are always best left hidden.
Yeah.
So if you wish, you can roll a sense.
Well, I'll give it a shot. I haven't had these kind of encounters, but I failed it.
19. You have a plus 25 to it, because...
So 44 is my new target number. I missed it by 2. Do I have a plus 25 to it just for that roll?
No, because you're going to do what Landon did not too long ago, and you're going to receive the blessing of Luna. And you thankfully did not see her true form. So
is this the...
It's that
centipede one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Segmented.
Yeah. But you do get a sense that there's more to her, that it just wasn't some nude woman frolicking in the wilds, handing out swords probably to passerbys who would be king. But anyway, you wake up to Jardane yelling at you.
What are you yelling at me, Jardane?
I'm not necessarily yelling.
Okay.
But I'm pretty frantic, shaking you, telling you that we must leave now because he's seen me, he knows where we are, and he's coming to collect me.
Do I forget the dream upon waking, or the scenario, or do I have okay.
In fact, if you want, you can roll a sense right off the bat to see if you are able to kind of maintain that.
Nope.
No. So much like how I one time in a dream realized I could add 2 lesser numbers and somehow create a much, much greater number than the sum should have been, only to wake up and realize that I've forgotten how to do it. That feeling is quickly drifting. It was a wonderful dream. You still have that sense of peace about you.
I just got the vague feelings of it, but no real details.
You know.
Well, I'll be stuck in the throat, like the sensations of it when he's like trying to tell me this panicky information, and I'll be like, oh.
I should bring to the more important part. It is early morning.
Right.
Solar hasn't risen in the east yet, and your guys are outside. The house is gone. There is a copse of trees nearby.
There's no house.
Yeah, no hut. The quilts have been replaced with expensive
Some fur
cloaks.
boughs or something.
No, they're cloaks of an expensive make.
Well, I'll mumble it.
Finally.
Mumble something about it being like out of a fishwife's tale, but I think it probably takes me a full 30 seconds to a minute of being in the sensation of the dream, the oddity of not being where we
Yeah,
were.
neither of you recognize where that.
Is Ollie still there, though?
Yeah, he's snoring away. He's wrapped beneath a deep green cloak.
So after that period of discombobulation, I'll focus on Jardine and I'll be like, slow down, Dane. What are you saying? Nobody knows right where we are, but of course people are looking for us, trying to get us. We're as safe as we can be.
No, the Emperor, you don't understand. He saw me.
What do you mean? If he saw you, wouldn't he just, send some men in here?
He's coming to collect me.
Right.
That's what I'm trying to tell
Right
you.
for an ambush.
Right. Okay, well, I mean, we plan to move as soon as possible anyway, so let's get everything in order and head out. If you want to see if you can find our horses, I don't know if they've broken their tethers in the storm or wandered off, then I'll get us packed up and get Ollie awake.
So your horses are nearby, tethered to one of the lower branches of the tree. These 3 cloaks that are left, they all have their brooch that would hold them or clasp them to you. All bear the symbol of Luna.
Oh, okay.
And as your guys are getting ready, give me a spot, both of you.
The old lady, she took the house. I told you she was
She's a
evil. We
thief.
should have attacked her.
Failed.
Both failures.
Yeah,
All right.
too
So
panicky.
you guys are starting to discuss the day's journey, and you kick Ollie awake. Well, you
I'll
don't.
be gentler than
Yeah,
that, but I think about kicking him awake, yeah.
And so he's he's kind of snorts a couple times, wakes up, looks about himself all bleary-eyed. Where'd the old woman get off to?
I have...
We get booted out?
She's betrayed us to the Emperor. Run!
if I didn't know any better, I'd say we were, what's the term, enchanted or something. Because I assume you went to sleep in
She was a
humble
woods witch.
cottage just as we did.
You see Ollie, without thinking about it, throw up wardings, the evil eye or the warding symbols to stave off various spirits. Hey, where'd they come from, though, boss? He
The
points
cloaks?
off to the west.
Oh, who's they? Good old Ollie spotting for me.
Yeah.
Well, I'll look to where he's pointing.
You see several encamped armies on the smaller side, kind of dotting the area to the west, maybe about half a day's walk.
That's a very good question. Is it possible we didn't see that they were there with the storm?
Each are flying a different heraldry. Many of the banners seem to depict a black castrum or a river, from what you can see from there. And then some have a more generic, the symbol for the Church of Solar, which is the blazing sun. The even bigger shock, however, comes when your eyes shift from the west to the north, and there sits a massive black castrum, abridging a swift-running river. Atop its cathedral-like spires flutter flags depicting what you can only assume to be the very castrum that the flags are flying from. So,
Is this castrum low, Dane? Never been.
Could I do royal
yeah, royal court,
the court-
knowledge,
royal court?
or no difficult.
success?
Good roll.
Do you only have a 13 in that?
Yeah, I took the etiquette one high, thinking that I would use that the majority of the time.
Okay. So you recognize this is not only Castrum Low, but much of the army seems to be made up of his men as well. The ones that have the more generics, symbol of just the Ecclesium Sol, the Church of Solar, or the Church of the Sun. They're what you would know as city lords. They're lesser lords that don't really hold too much in the way of land, right? And they're kind of just trying to climb the ladder.
So this was sort of, like in my mind, I had expected more travel, right? So either I navigated wrong, very possible. So I guess that's what I'm thinking, maybe. Is that we're closer than we thought.
You fled us straight
If
into
you want,
the army.
you guys can roll a religion or a difficult know or idea.
All right, I'll try religion.
So do we just give ourselves over now?
Well, here's the point where you're supposed to have a better idea than I do. I was to get you here. You know who I was to deliver you to, I think, was my understanding. It has been a minute since we spoke about the whole arrangement. If I knew where I know where I was supposed to take you, just not who once we got there.
What was that? Double failures?
Yeah.
You heathens. So much of the folklore is kind of lost on you guys, and even more so, religion has scrubbed much of it. So, yeah, the only thing you can think of is you miscalculated your journey's time, or you were ensorcelled by an obviously evil old woman who probably poisoned your soup.
Time and distance poison. 5D poison. All right. Well, Dane, I guess we did it. What's the odds we're going to be able to march through that army into Castrum Low? I feel like I've been in this situation before.
Probably pretty
Darn
low.
armies.
I mean, do you not have a contact here?
No, I could be mistaken. Maybe the game master can clarify it for us. But
The southern gates are open.
right.
Okay, just
I think we can just go in.
We
right?
just walk in the south.
I was under the
Well-
I was under the assumption that you knew to who we were going once we got here, or it's possible, given the amount of serendipitous events that have happened, that if we go in, they will know. And nope.
They will know that we are here.
Not a chance.
Yeah, you don't know who you're supposed to.
Well, all of the letters that I had were unsigned except for the last one, which was D. So 3 choices. We either stand in front of the army and charge. Don't like that one. We go in and start asking if anybody knows D. Very unlikely to work. Or we just go in the southern gate and see what we see.
Yeah.
so between the
Unless you're really set on charging this army.
going guns blazing. Between the army and the castrum, the southern gate of the castrum, there is a city, unwalled. It doesn't seem to be burning.
Currently.
Yeah, so
Yeah. Well, let's head there for now, and try to plan our next move. We'll just walk.
Who was the ruling family for Castrum Low?
give me a etiquette or knowledge royal court. Oh, do you want to push it?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yay.
Duke's Duncan Lowe is I think that's what I named him. Just let me double check here. I think it's Duncan Lowe. Yes, it is. His family has been the ruler of Castrum Low since it was built, way back when Solar rode the lands, slaying demons.
I would say we find someone of the Low family or that reports to them and present ourselves as maybe we can gain an audience with somebody. And if we can't, then, Hadris, only then will I agree to your crazy plan of charging this army.
What's the pretense for seeking an audience?
Look over at Ollie and shake my head like this guy.
Are you?
I would.
Are we?
I mean,
with your what was that
you're,
etiquette?
You're a well-off merchant.
Yeah, you know enough etiquette, Jardane. A lot of these, while he wouldn't be considered backwater,
Yeah.
he would be a country lord. They usually have a day or a time, but at some point they will usually hear
petitioners would come in.
complaints. Yeah.
Well, I do have some idea of how I could apply some trade in these
Yeah,
lands.
so he's not completely shut off to you guys. You can request an audience
Okay.
of the lord of this land. Whether or not you receive it in a timely fashion, that's hard to say.
Okay, sounds like a plan, Dane. Maybe I can petition this.
I'm sorry for ruining your dream.
Which dream was that?
Maybe you'll get the dream of heroically charging an army. Maybe one day, Hadrius.
One day. I'll just dodge my way through.
One day soon.
All right, well, we better get to it, but let's walk the horses for now on account of they've been ridden hard and wounded, and
Nah.
we might not know when we'll need to use them again, mate. They might make it to the city alive if we take good care of them.
Are you guys going to take the cloaks?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yes.
Gotta take those.
All right. Hadrius, when you pick up
Those-
yours, 2 small objects fall out of one of the pockets.
Okay.
One's silver and the other's onyx.
Do they have the sigils?
It's a bomb.
Like from the dream, or are they just objects made of those materials.
I never thought of that for some reason. Roll luck. They're emblazoned with these symbols.
Okay.
So yeah, they seem to be carved into it.
I am ambivalent about this, but I'll put them in my pocket. Always could use a good cloak. Well crafted.
Yeah, fine linen. There's some, let's see, yours is a dark blue in color, or the one you picked up with that the stones fell out of, and it's got silver threading down the hem.
Well, if I'm going to be making a case for loans and wagons from our lord, lo, then this is a fitting cloak. Guess I'll hand the third one to Ollie. Right?
Yeah. Thanks,
Should
boss.
just pack it up as yours. This is my
Spare
extra
one.
cloak now.
Yeah. Thanks, boss. You still owe me, though. I'm not accepting this in lieu of payment.
I didn't say that. I was surprised
No,
you
I saw
actually
ya.
took a hedge witch's, what do you call it? Besides, I thought I paid you out there in the wilderness. It is a new month. So we were going by the month. Is that what the deal was?
Yeah, we're going by.
Okay.
He's off kilter. You mentioned the hedge witch again.
Right.
And
Well, enjoy your hedge witch's cloak, and we'll
Yes, sir.
renegotiate as soon as we get in the town. And I'll pay you for prorated, of course. It's only been a day.
if you want, I can. If you want, you can roll an easy idea,
Okay.
and you can throw a couple more simple folk tales, like sleeping on your back with your mouth open, which Ollie does a lot of because of his nose.
Oh, got a success.
About how a demon will snatch your breath when doing that. Just
Right.
don't want to be. So yeah, you from here or here and there throughout your conversation, you're throwing out these subtle jabs of various superstition and folklore, and Ollie, he can't get his bearings one way or another, and eventually he just basically does the conversational version of rolling on his back and exposing his belly. And just,
Right.
stop it, boss. Cloak's fine. You don't owe me anything.
Yeah.
But he puts the cloak on. Oh, wait. No, he doesn't. He rolls it up and he puts it in his bag and readies his halberd to use as a walking stick.
Okay.
It's going to be extra if you want me to fight our way through them.
Hopefully that won't be the case. I think we'll be running if it seems like it's going that way. But let's carry on, gentlemen. Let's get us a nice room if we can, and a hot meal. Something sturdy.
Alrighty. And that is where we'll fade to black on you and fade in on young Landon. So the canopy overhead keeps much of the light of Solar from reaching the floor of the Leshy, keeping most of the heat from the day at bay. Samuel, or Sammy, as he likes to be called, was able to deftly lead you back in the direction of the 10-man search party that was sent out. One of them sent out looking for you, and you can hear them now off in a short distance through the trees. You can't quite see them yet, but you can hear Captain, you figure, shouting orders about need to make this lunch quick. Commander Morgan's gonna take all of our heads off.
Okay.
I can't remember the other guard's name. Did you?
Yeah, Theo.
Theo. Okay.
Theo and Samuel.
All right. So almost like magic, you take a couple more steps and you just burst out into not quite a clearing, but it's like maybe an old riverbank. So some of the vegetation is pushed back a ways, and you see 8 men, one of whom is obviously in charge, kind of sitting around, quickly going and eating their breakfast of, it looks like dried meats or preserved meats and cheese and bread.
Okay.
And at the sound of you guys walking in, this he's a young man, but he's very hatchet-faced and looks more serious beyond his years. He turns and is, so this is what you've brought back, Sammy? Or Samuel. Roll a status.
Okay. All right. Status. I have failed.
So what this status was more for was how you're holding yourself
Yeah.
when you walk into this clearing. So he was on his feet and he's walked over and he sees you and he salutes, fist on breast, over his heart. I presume that you're Commander Velix?
Indeed I am. And you are?
I'm Captain Fields, sir.
Well, Captain Fields, thank you for coming to my rescue.
You've caused quite a stir, Commander.
I would actually say that those who ambushed me and nearly killed me are responsible for causing the stir. But yes, I suppose the sooner we get back, the sooner my uncle will find something else to become angry about.
Well, he's already quite angry, and as he's talking to you, he dismisses Samuel and Theo to go take their lunch.
Okay.
He eyes Leodin, sorry, named her after a red.
Yeah.
So he eyes her and kind of takes you aside, kind of expertly so. You know, he doesn't touch you or lead you away, right? But it's just kind of like a cop once he gets his foot in the door, right?
Yeah.
You're not closing the door, and he's probably entering the house.
Okay.
But he's leaning close, and, well, you see, we actually did not know that you had gone missing, and he's using that word in kind of a way that makes you think it's maybe taking the place of a couple other different words, like, what is missing? Were you AWOL? Did you run away? You know, like, what else could this missing be filling in for? But we were very surprised when we received the letter from Duke Slow, sent by way of messenger, stating that House Velix had taken his son prisoner. You wouldn't happen to have had a hand in that, would you, sir?
No.
Well, Duke Slow is very angry.
So I take it that Duncan has not been seen since we left for the hunt?
No, sir.
That's bad news. We were ambushed by people wearing colors of our house, as a matter of fact, in a clearing not too far from here, and I was nearly killed. I don't know what happened to anybody else.
So when you say that you were nearly killed, he looks you over. He figures, you can kind of see on his face, like he agrees with you. Oh, yes, of course, sir. But it's the, like, acquiescent
Right.
kind of yes-manning. He doesn't believe that you were nearly wounded. He figures that you got a scratch somewhere. And
Which is fine. I have no interest in arguing with him.
okay.
But at any rate, I don't know where Duncan the Younger is.
So I take it that you had no knowledge of this.
No.
Of course, as you say, my lord.
No, we were ambushed by people wearing our house's colors, but with a very thick Morosaurus accent.
You can also, you can also roll I don't even think you need to roll it, for word to have reached Castrum Low as quickly as it did, from kind of what you're hearing him describe it, because you would have went missing a couple days ago.
Yeah.
But he was saying that night, and I'm sorry if I missed it in the description there, but he was basically saying that night that a messenger came from Castrum Low spouting accusations.
Oh, okay.
So it was fairly quick.
Yeah, it's before they could have known.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, anyway.
But he takes what you're saying at face value, and you can see whatever machinations are looming behind his yeses and, of course, sirs and whatnot, because he is a low-ranked noble. All of the people that are in charge are.
Yeah.
So he has some sort of game afoot, most likely, and if not a game to climb some ruling ladder, definitely a game. I mean, information is money and power. Not that you think one of your father's men would betray you for money, but he might betray you to another of the House Velix in hopes of forming some sort of scheme.
Right. Okay. Well, so then you know what? I need to go investigate that clearing, see what we can see there. And so I'll ask Leodin to show us how to get there, if I don't know.
No, you're kind of turned around.
Yeah, because I was unconscious when she dragged me here. But
Yeah, sure.
we have to go there and see if there's any leftover evidence from the battle. Which, you know, based on what Leodin's told me, maybe there probably won't, but we'll see. I mean, maybe there's weapons left over, or I don't know.
There might be that, but the Leshy does consume, what's the word? Fresh bodies don't stay around long. It consumes them rather quick. Accent shift. Captain Fields kind of eyes her. Well, like, who's this? Why are you talking to her? Why is she speaking?
Yeah. I will provide him with no explanation for who she is.
Sir, I highly suggest that we turn to Commander Morgan. At the very least, we need to inform the other search parties that you've been found. We are in the middle of a very sensitive matter. Pull rank on him.
Yeah.
Backhand him, spit in his face.
No, I'm just gonna say, of course you're right, but let's go check the clearing first, and then I'll just start heading whatever direction Leodin says it is.
All right, yeah, she she sticks close to you. You kind of get the sense that she is maybe realizing that she just picked up and decided to leave her house. But behind you, you hear Captain Fields yelling at the men that breaks over, on your feet. They do have horses there, but looks like they've started using them more for packing.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of places are too thick for the horses here.
Mm-hmm. So as you're traveling, Captain Fields sidles on up next to you and sort of seems to be fishing for various gossips and the like. This is very transparent for you.
Mm-hmm.
It also doesn't help that when you came in, you felt a little you weren't in your full uniform. You weren't armed and armored.
Right.
So you're feeling that he might think that you are someone who he can just sidle on up to and start chatting.
Well, how about this? Let's, I don't know, like a House of Velox etiquette.
Yeah, go for it.
So here's what I want to do. I want to, as we're walking along, I want to find some innocuous thing and so that it fits in and say, this reminds me of growing up in my father's castrum. Anyway, spin a story. It doesn't have to be a false one. It'd be better if it's true, but a story that reminds him exactly who I am, right? That I'm actually the Lord's son and not just some other dude, right? But not in an obvious way.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah, depends on how you want it, but yeah, it could definitely be very real. After if you want a violent story, a story of harsh discipline being met out to some poor, lesser stationed person, that's one that you have numerous amounts of, because after your father returned from the war, an injury caused him to kind of lose control of his ability to not be an angry, horrible man.
Yeah.
So there were countless switching, birching, and then right out flogging of servants who spoke too loud.
Yeah, servants
or
who
stuttered.
got too comfortable. Or, Yeah. Okay. So I want to do something like that.
Yeah, go for it.
Special.
So he's in the middle of telling you why they're walking and not a horse. And it's because they've had several near misses with the horses just breaking their legs. It appears that the ground just seems to open up and potholes appear where there shouldn't be, and various stuff like that. They have had to put down at least one. And he's starting to talk about how some of the men are saying that they're feeling watched, these common folk worried about their superstitions.
Mm-hmm.
But some have reported, shadows, growls, grunts, all this. And then you just kind of interject very smoothly with one of your mini stories about your house and your father and life in the castrum. And you actually do this to the point where it isn't a horrific story on the surface, right? It was a perfectly normal and pleasant story, but there's something about it. Maybe it's one of the times your father took you whaling, and the camaraderie and how all the men kind of would gather around and work as one. They would sing songs just like we're doing now.
Yeah.
We're sitting around and we're leading these men through the woods. And then a rope that had been attached to one of the harpoons that was stuck in one of the whales just trapped a man and pinned him against the deck or the railing and nearly crushed him. And you were young at the time. You would have been 9. And because of that, your father had to order the harpoon cut free and the whale got away. And you word it in such a way that he's the man that is going to wreck everything. And it's not about this immediate party, right?
Yeah.
He's going to wreck his entire house's livelihood if he keeps stepping out of line and not being where he's supposed to be.
Right.
And you see him kind of like sort of just stop and stare at you for a second. And then he just takes a step back and he turns immediately to a person that was behind him, who's now to his right. And he continues the story to him as if he had never once opened his mouth to you.
Mm-hmm.
And far in the back, you hear some whispers from some of the men.
Okay.
And it should be noted that because of the way you did it, you didn't garner any sort of hostility or direction. It was a perfectly and succinctly done know your place without being rude. So
that's what I was going for. So, once I'm satisfied that he's not going to cause me any trouble, then we'll just focus on keeping our footing as we go through this forest towards that clearing. But I guess I will sort of fill in Leodim on anything I might not have already told her about what's been happening. The deal with her grandma, the shade, then my brother and the castle, and then the ambush, and then I'll talk to her about the fact that there's no way word could have gotten back to the Castrum so quickly unless someone there was in on this ambush. So I need to come back with some kind of evidence, or else it's just going to be my word against theirs. And they've already got my brother locked up. And so there's some game afoot that I need to stay ahead of. But, mostly just for conversation.
For the most part, she's just kind of wide-eyed. Like, this is all over her head. She's a country lass, you know, like these political maneuverings and backstabbings and murder that is just done at the whim of someone else are all just lost on her. She tries to keep up. She tries to be polite, and she does her best to lead you as quickly and as efficiently as possible through the Leshy. If you want, you can roll spot here.
Special.
All right. So the sun is beginning to set, and Leodin's starting to look kind of nervous about that. We don't want to be out here when the sun's down, Landon. The first couple times she called you Landon, you started to hear Fields kind of, or you felt his eyes definitely shifting your way. Something's afoot there. He's going to start conspiring on something. Yeah. But it's probably not helped by the fact that unless you do or state otherwise, you're not correcting her. So do you want to correct her on that? Okay.
No.
But yeah, so she's warning about not wanting to be out at night in the Leshy, that it probably won't come for us itself. It has animals, wild, crazed beasts that will come for us. She's keeping her voice down. You think it's because she doesn't want to spook the men.
Right.
But as she's saying that, you do notice a trail. It's two lines about the width of a man. And you, because of that roll, immediately put it together, and you see small footsteps in the middle of them. That this is the part of the trail that she made while taking you. And it seems she used a lot of dried riverbed to kind of cut across. And it was like lots of jackknifing back and forth as she went towards her house. This one seems, they're all a couple days old now. So it's fresh here because there's nothing really wetting it down now that spring rains have stopped.
Okay.
And she says, we're getting close, Landon.
Yeah. So we'll have to be quick then if we don't want to be out here after dark. Yes. We might have no help for it.
Safest place might be in the clearing. It's fairly big. Should be able to camp the 10 of us, or, the 12 of us fairly easy.
Okay. All right, that's the plan then.
So yeah, a short time later, it's dusk. The sun's still, there's enough light to see. You see Luna beginning to reveal herself in the night sky. She appears to be a crescent tonight, a waning crescent, but there's still enough light for you to see and do a quick search. But if you want to do that and make camp, you're going to kind of want to choose. You're either going to make camp while there's light, or you're going to make camp by firelight, which you might not even have unless you send men to do that too. But you step out of the tree line along this dried riverbed out into the tree line, and you're in the middle of a clearing. The Leshy just peels back, and there you are. There is no sign that a battle took place here that is immediately visible,
Okay.
right? If you want to roll spot, you can. Or, yeah, spot. We'll have all the men do that here. We'll give them a 50. Okay.
Failure.
So, yeah.
Captain Fields will be camping in this clearing, so get camp set up as quickly as possible. We want it done before it's dark, and make sure to send some men to get some firewood, and nobody goes alone.
All right. So he starts naming off people. You hear Samuel and Theo are sent off to go fetch wood and water, and another 2 men are tasked with setting up a quick makeshift camp for the night.
Okay.
It looks like they'll be sleeping with just bedrolls, though. There's no real tents. The captain has one, which you can commandeer if you wish. But
Yeah. I mean, it wouldn't feel right not doing that. Yeah.
And the others, except Fields, set about helping you search.
Okay.
And one of the men on the west side towards where you entered, which is also where you fell, right? Like as you're walking past, Leodin found you about there. Thought you were dead.
Mm-hmm.
Fields overhears that and kind of rolls his eyes. Stupid
Right.
woman probably doesn't know anything about anything.
Yeah.
But is around there that one of these men finds the leg of a horse poking up out of the ground, the loam, and he starts kind of digging to clear it away. But whether or not he keeps doing that, I'll leave up to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll go over and I'll help him try and see if we can dig this horse out.
All right. Give me a luck roll.
Success.
All right. So the actual horse ends fairly quickly after that leg, right? It's a bone has been, like roots have grown into the bone of this leg, and it's cracking from the inside. It's fairly desiccated as well. The heat hasn't touched it. It just seems to have dried out. But below that, you find the remains of a suit, not a suit of armor, but rotting already, even though it should be fairly new, leather and ring mail. And inside is a pouch.
Yeah, I'll dig that out then.
Yeah.
See if we can find out what anything in the pouch or whatever.
Yeah. So this pouch is more like a small rucksack that one would sling over their back. And inside are multiple tabards. You see Velix. Well, yeah, you see Velix, a different house, essentially, than what attacked you. You see Velix, you see Lachlan, you see Sarcherdos, you see Keegan, and you see Bellis.
Wow.
Just kind of all stuffed in there.
Yeah. What do you make of this, Captain? So I told you, the ones who attacked us, they had our colors on. They clearly weren't from our house. Not by their accent. Keep looking around, see what else you can find while camp's getting set up.
All right, give me a luck. Okay. If you want, you can push it, or you can, that's a luck. Yeah, I'll let you modify it with PowerPoints if you want.
Yeah, I'll spend the PowerPoints.
All right, so
9 of them.
Well, it's half the amount, right? 88. Okay, yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, sorry. You're good. 9 of them. All right, so yeah, swords are found, like brand new. More sets of ring mail, a bunch of matched stuff. You actually see some of the men, like the leathers that the Rangers were wearing, some of the men, the guards for the other comatis that accompanied you. So you're actually finding full plates of mail.
Okay.
But the bodies, there's like little in the way of bones, like fragments here or there.
Yeah.
It just roots. Roots are making the bulk of what's inside the armor. And you'd find a large amount of that mismatched armor, showing that, bandits. And all of that mismatched armor is wearing House Velix tabards.
Yeah, you see what I meant, Captain? But this forest is strange, and it eats these corpses very, very quickly. Tomorrow we'll have to see if we can find any evidence of what direction they might have went with any survivors they might have captured. And hopefully Duncan the Younger is among those. He's a good man. I don't want anything bad to happen to him.
All right.
And of course, we have to search for Chelsea as well.
So Samuel and Theo had made it back a while ago with a fairly decent bundle of wood. Most of it is dried, moss-covered stuff, twigs and, kindling for working up to the bigger fire. And then they went about searching along with the rest of them. And Theo calls out that he's found tracks, but they appear like old, very old.
Yeah.
But they're the only other set. They come into the clearing from the riverbank to the east, southeast, and then another set leaves off to the northeast, again along the river.
Yeah. And from the northeast is where that we saw the first one who stepped out and told us to surrender, right?
Mm-hmm.
Was it northeast? Okay. Yeah, that's what we're looking for. Good work, Theo.
Thank you, sir.
In the
He
morning,
salutes.
we'll follow those tracks. I'd do it tonight, but it's just not safe in this forest after night. So
Now-
we need a large fire. It needs to stay burning.
Now, you do know that if you're heading towards them, that they had about 40 men.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. That is a problem, Captain. How many people are out searching for me?
50 split into groups of 10. 5 groups, sir. And that's just the party that's on the north side of the Muros. We have more afield. We didn't know where you would take... we didn't know where you and Equus Lowe had been taken to, I mean to say, sir.
Well, we're going to need those men because there were a lot of bandits.
He looks at the sky. I fear that time has gotten away from us, my lord.
That's true.
Or, sir.
We'll have to deal with it tomorrow.
And, unless you have anything more, Brandon?
Nope. I'll just say everybody needs to huddle in real close tonight.
Okay.
When we bed down, everybody needs to be real close around my tent. Oh, Captain, thank you for setting up my tent. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir. It was a pleasure.
But
In fact, I apologize for not making the offer sooner.
no,
I forgive you.
You've got a lot going on. Yeah, you've done a wonderful job so far. But I'll put Leodin in there with me.
You know that might be committing a faux pas, like a social faux pas. So I'll just kind of throw that out there.
Yeah.
You're not. Well, it's one of those. It's like a catch-22. You're a lord. You can kind of bed whoever you want, but he wouldn't be legitimate.
Yeah.
But also you're a second son, so it's less important. But Leodin might not like it as well. She kind of frown on that.
Well, that's a good point. I don't want people thinking the wrong thing about her.
Yeah.
So I'll just give her the tent.
She thanks you for
I'll
that.
sleep outside the tent.
Okay. That anger, that you can see in the distance, in the dim growing light, that his brow actually kind of is knitted in a bit of anger. That not only did he lose his tent, you're not going to use it either. So now he can't have that.
He's going through a hard time.
He is. It's been a rough day. So, as the last of Solar's light disappears from the face of Terra, and Luna appears in full with her crescent shape above, you begin to hear rustling in the trees of the clearing, and the occasional howl or growl. One of them appears to be from a very large animal. And that's where we'll fade, as many of the men cast nervous glances around towards the tree line. And they have, you see many, when the growls start, throw more wood on the fire and prepare weapons.
Get your spears ready, men.
And that will be how Landon ended the 28th of Spring's End.
Okay.
All right, guys. That's it for today. Thank you for playing.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, man.
Roll against your skills. And one more dang week of Brandon not being able to roll against. We'll get there. I promise you, Brandon.
No, that's all right. It happens.
No, nice.
This has been a Deathwatch production. Thank you for listening.